decade. And that last one was virtual reality. This is the one you've been wanting to talk about all night, and I want to get to it. And I'm just going to kind of let you talk about this. I want you to kind of, I guess, make your case. Why do you think VR is kind of the big thing moving forward?
I find that VR games are very satisfying. They have the ability to do what most current games can't, which is actually put you into the game.
Right.
Right now I own 2 Oculuses. I own the first gen Oculus Rift, and I own the Oculus Quest. But I have also played a Vive, and honestly, I enjoy it all. Some of the games are limited, but I feel like they're limited for a reason, just because, you know, some people are very sensitive to the way that to the new generation. Let's just say motion sickness. You know, eventually they will curb all of those issues, but right now there's actually a huge community for like games like Beat Sabers and
which I've
Pistol
always wanted
Whip
to get
and
into,
stuff like that. They're really fun games, to be honest, and I've always recommended that even if you don't think you'll like it, just try it once.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've had friends come over. I've brought my Oculus Quest or even my Rift somewhere.
By the way, if you ever come over here, you should bring it, because I've wanted to play Beat Saber really bad.
I have.
You brought it over?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I missed it. Oh, Jesus.
The last time I was there, I brought it over.
Oh man, well, I wanted to
like
play
what?
it, I just don't know why I was paying attention.
But no, right now the leaps and bounds, the biggest issue with VR was the fact that it wasn't portable per se. You needed some kind of computer that could run the graphics for the VR system.
Okay.
Well, then they came out with the Oculus Quest. That thing is amazing. It is super comparable. Actually, I think it's better than what my Rift does. And the games are getting better. They're getting more fun.
And what is the difference again? What does the new one provide that the old one doesn't have?
The Oculus Quest has no wires to it.
Oh.
So I'm not tethered to a computer. I have no wires, no sensors, no nothing. It's done through optical cameras that can visualize and track the area around. And almost all the same games are available because a lot of the games aren't hardware intensive. A lot of it is just power intensive, which batteries have gotten better, as per se. And again, I can play a good 2-3 hours of a VR game and have it not even realize it's been 2 or 3 hours. I think at some point I've played almost a full 8 hours of VR and not even realized it's been a full 8 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, it's intense. With games like that, they're starting to get more story driven. They're catching up to what currently consoles can do. Actually, I think eventually they're going to exceed that.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing is like, I mean, VR basically, for a long time, VR was a concept. People knew it was coming.
Yep.
But I remember going to a thing called Disney Quest, which used to exist as part of the Disney parks in Disney World. It was like a building in downtown Disney, and you could go and there were 4 stories,
that.
And it was all like all these gaming and like old arcade games and new stuff. And one of the big things there was kind of that VR, the idea of like going to the goggles and playing games that were interactive, right? And most of those games you don't need to be in a park anymore to do. You can go to Oculus. You have an Oculus and you can do it now. And that's crazy. That's significant. And I mean, the reality is like that it's so mobile, and it's gonna only continue to get better. You look at something like Beat Saber, and it just looks so cool. And eventually, games. I mean, there's been some pseudo adaptations, right? Like the idea of like PlayStation Move, which I think they kind of adapted something like that. And I mean, the Oculus Rift has like controllers, right? That I think work somewhat similarly to the way that those work.
They actually have the same exact controllers.
Oh, they are. I have
the PlayStation actually has a VR system.
Right, they do.
The PlayStation VR. Granted, it's not as good. PlayStation does only one optical camera, so the tracking's not that great. Actually, my sister owns one. I've gotten the chance to play that. Now, some of the games, though, are exclusive to PlayStation. I can't play them on my Oculus Rift.
Right.
Which I'm still really jealous about, but I would rather have the quality over the quantity. I'd rather have a super great experience than to just play one game that I want to play, you know?
Yeah.
Even developers are starting to push what games they put out. I know now you can play the original Doom in VR. Someone actually created all the models and transferred everything from the game to port it over. Which I find super crazy that someone took the time to do it and to put it out there for free.
Yeah.
Most VR experiences are very short. Granted, you can make them last. Again, they don't want people getting sick, and again, that technology is going to improve along with most others.
And also you got to remember, people are like going to get more used to it too. It's also like it's new territory for people in general. And a good point. I mean, also one of the things I didn't mention was like PlayStation Move. You made me think about it. PlayStation Move was one of those things that I thoroughly enjoyed. I thought it was super cool when it came out, but they didn't. Or was that what it was called? I think it was called that. And it didn't.
It's PlayStation Move.
They just didn't capitalize on it and build more. But
well, you know what the purpose of that was? That was to compete with the Wii.
Yeah, it was. And
the
I thought
Wii
they
had
did a
their
better job.
controllers.
I thought they did, but the reality was more people want to do that in party games than they did want to in like for stuff pseudo virtual reality, which is kind of what they were building it towards. Was building. I still every once in a while break out the old sports game that they had for it because it has really cool table tennis and really cool disc golf games.
Oh yeah.
That was a really cool version. I think it came with the system. But anyway, yeah, I would say that like I think that VR is going to improve significantly in the next few years even. And I mean, right now it's in early adoption phase. It's still proof of concept. There's still a lot of stuff that need to get figured out. But we're gonna find not too long from now that it's gonna be. I mean, it's gonna be a big thing. It's gonna be one of the forefronts of gaming. I don't honestly think it's gonna fully ever replace other styles of gaming. I don't think it's gonna replace like regular PC gaming or controller gaming, like stuff like that. I don't even think it's gonna break into the competitive scene for another few decades. Like, I don't think there are gonna be games that are gonna come out and be like competitive. But I do think that it's gonna be
actually
the start of a whole new like section of gaming.
Beat Sabers already has a competitive side to it.
Yeah, I guess I meant like for things like shooters and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, the biggest problem is that with VR being so limited, and again, it's not the core gaming companies that have the VR systems. Again, like Oculus is owned by Facebook.
Right.
You've got Vive. Again, it's not a core gaming system, so they're not coming out with platform gaming. That's actually where Steam comes in. Steam has their own VR system. Granted, it's super expensive.
Yeah.
It's like $1,000, but they're actually coming out with the Half-Life game, which that's going to be like
Half-Life
one
3?
of the. Yeah, pretty much Half-Life 3.
Confirmed?
Yeah. They've already announced it. It's supposed to be coming out like towards the end of the year. It got so many people pumped up for it.
Of course.
And they did it specifically to boost the sales in their VR systems. Now with VR, it just hit a really big stride. So the first one was, oh wow, we can actually do this. Okay, it's not that good, but we can still do it.
Yep.
Now you've got the portable part of it.
Now that it's mobile.
The next thing is they're going to push that even further, and they're going to start trying to up the battery. You know how the
then
graphics
you talk about,
work.
Like, movement and how like movement works and getting stuff like that involved, and whether or not that.
To be honest,
involved.
the movement, with like moving your feet, that'll be really cool in an aspect all on its own.
And that's gonna be something I think later, like the treadmill
I think
idea
the
and stuff
tracking.
like that.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be
actually,
a later
it's funny.
idea.
It's funny, the tracking of like my Oculus Quest is insanely good.
Really?
They actually pushed out a update that allows the Oculus Rift to track, or Oculus Quest to track your fingers. So it actually tracks your hand motions. The only problem is it's not compatible with most games because most games can use controllers. They don't really consider it a big thing.
Yeah, right. They haven't invested much in it.
Which, as games go, eventually that will work. One of the best games out there is what is it? Boneworks, I think that's what it's called. It's a super immersive, like physics-driven game that is a shooter actually, and so many people that are video gamers on YouTube are playing it.
Really?
Some of my favorite streamers, like I love watching Noah J 456. He plays it. Markiplier has played it as well. He's another one of my favorite streamers. Who else? Actually, a couple of my friends play it. Actually, someone you know, acquaintance of ours, Jimmy. He plays it as well. Yeah, he plays that game, and when I watched him play it, it blew my mind.
Huh.
I still have yet to get it, unfortunately,
What's the name
but I think it's called Boneworks.
I'll have to check it out.
It's just, yeah, it was a really, really cool game. It's a good shooter that involves a lot of like mechanics of, you know, shooting actual guns and like figuring things out. But the funny part about VR is it's not even only for video games. It's helped so many other people too.
It is, and that's a whole new. Aside from gaming, yeah, I mean it's helping a lot of things. Like it's even, you know, helping elderly people or like people that are like, you know, not able to go out and do things, actually able to experience different parts of life. It's got a lot of potential. Also, Snaps made a good point. He said, I mean, we're talking about how VR is. People are getting dizzy, can't stay for long as many times and stuff. Snaps pointing out people have the same problem when 3D games came to the mainstream. You still hear stories about people who felt motion sickness from playing Mario 64 for the first time. And so VR will probably grow on people as well. That's a good point, Snaps. Also, Mr. Otter said I like Markiplier's first streams, which we were talking about him.
Which they're so good. They're so good.
I think we're gonna see VR really take on new legs in the future. I think right now it's a small thing that's going to become really big.
One of the things I'm really hoping happens is that one of the major gaming companies really figures it out. Like, I want to see Microsoft figure it out, or I want to see PlayStation kind of develop it better, or even Nintendo. I know they've kind of got like VR for it, but it's not a really popular type of it. It's like one of those like the cardboard headsets that you make and you can put on your like on your Switch, or you put your Switch in it. Yeah, it's like a fake kind of VR, which is cool. It's a great aspect of the Switch, but no one's gonna buy it just for that.
Right.
Now, if like Microsoft really pushes into it, I could see them coming out with great VR and using the Series X for it, because these new gaming systems are starting to become like PCs.
Yeah.
They're starting to get to a point where I don't even need to upgrade it.